this is Rafique Louison, and you are tuned in to Nothing But That Sports Talk. Oh yeah, we here with another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk, first one in 2024. I'm Rafique Louison alongside Ryan Walker. How you doing today on the first few days of 2024?
Good, blessed. Blessed. Thank
Yes,
God.
yes, we are blessed indeed. And the New York Knicks were blessed not only to end 2023, but to start off 2024. Or I don't know if you want to call it blessing, as we already discussed off the air. The New York Knicks got an OG on the roster, and his name is OG Anunoby. And in exchange, they traded away R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quigley, and the Pistons' second-round pick. So, the Knicks won their first two games with OG Anunoby on the roster. He put up 17 points in the win against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then he played somewhat of a contributing role in the win against the Chicago Bulls. So, what are your overall thoughts about the OG trade and how the Knicks have been playing ever since?
I don't know. I mean, I like the trade, in halfway to an extent. I think OG is a solid player. Um, to me, right now, the best wing defender that we have on the team, one of the best defenders in general on the team. But he's a solid defender, can guard the 1, the 2, or the 3, and even the stretch 4. Um, will rebound as well with it, can run the floor. Really good athlete. Really good athlete if you pay attention to him. And he shoots that corner 3 at a high rate, which will be having a lot of those shots on how the Knicks play their offense and how they, things are set up. He works well without the ball. I have no problems with him, whether a role player or not, or 8th or ninth guy on the team. We also have to remember this is an NBA champion on the Toronto Raptors team. The year they won, I believe that's 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Yes. He won the championship team, and he did play a role in Toronto, make it to the second round. Not to mention the game-winning shot at the bubble year against the Boston Celtics, even though the Raptors did go on to lose that series. But yeah, OG Anunoby can be useful. Don't sleep on him.
No, he's a player. The only issue in hindsight that I have with the totality of what the Knicks have done in the last few months is that if you eventually gave away Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quigley. So if you gave those 3 guys away, not gave them away with trades, but you had an opportunity last year with the Utah Jazz to get a Donovan Mitchell. Now, I know now in hindsight, it's like, yo, you would have gave up an RJ, Obi, and Quigley, but they did anyway. You gave up your 3rd pick in your NBA draft. You gave up, what was Obi 10th or 11th, 8th pick, and then you gave up
Emmanuel Quigley. I believe he was about he's somewhere in the 10s coming out of Kentucky.
Right. You could have had Donovan Mitchell and still had OG. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the only part to a Knicks fan that's really gonna sit there because they're still seeking that next player. The Knicks have a good roster. They still one piece away from being, to me, a guaranteed contender. You know what I'm saying? And they have a good ball club. I still see them as a second-round team. Depending on matchups, maybe a third-round team, but at second round, especially if they stay anywhere numerically 4 to 5, because you would see a Boston or a Milwaukee in the second round if you stayed in those realms. Your best bet is probably with Milwaukee because they're not great defensively all the time. They have great defenders, but they're having team issues defensively right now, even though they're still solid. I mean, they beat us 3-1 already. We have 1 more against them. So me saying them is the easier matchup is not saying necessarily it's the easier matchup. The Celtics might be a little bit far-fetched for us anyway. But the Knicks will compete and play against anybody. The OG, I love that he's here. Let's see what they do in the future on trying to add that next piece. As I hear, there's still rumblings with things here and there. I'm hearing, they're talking about the Murray thing from Atlanta. So I guess if that worked out, then it'd be like a Brunson, a Murray, a OG, a Randall, and Hartenstein, which could be formidable. And that's if it works out. They're still talking to Towns. I know they'll still be inquiring about Donovan Mitchell. We'll see, but I'm fine with OG, and I love what he brings to the table. And I think when everybody gets used to seeing it, they'll understand what he has. It hurt to lose RJ. You know how much I was a big RJ fan. I loved Quickly as well too. I thought they both did very good things. But if we had to part ways with them to get a player that's better fitted for our system, then one thing that I will say is that we sometimes you have to give up something to get something. And I'm happy for it because RJ's back home in his hometown of Canada, of Toronto, where I know they'll love and accept him. New York accepted him too, but RJ, it's like I always told you, I thought he used to get so much. I thought that the world wanted RJ to be a finished product in the first day he came through the door as a Knick, and they didn't know that it takes time and growth. You can't look at one player and say, this player is flourishing now and is a star, and this kid didn't, because you'd always get compared to his draft, Zion and John Morant. And I thought RJ progressed year by year as a Knick. I thought he got better. Did he have ups and downs? Absolutely. Did he have periods where he could be inconsistent? Absolutely. But for the most part, he improved. He got better at it. He had times where he had to learn how to become a better defender. Even though he took a step backwards last year, he improved on the shot piece by piece. He improved on everything that they said to try to get better on. But it's just tough to play in New York. And what was unfair with him is that, like, even though he's a third round pick, how can you expect him to resurrect everything when he wasn't even the centerpiece of the team? Julius Randle's the centerpiece and other guys over time. And like I tell them, just to be joking, I was like, if Patrick Ewing couldn't save the Knicks, then how do you want RJ Barrett to do so? It was just unfair, the critiques we get. And he's not going to get that in Toronto, a market that is a big market, but they're more friendly to their athletes in general. The newspaper is less diminishing on the results on what you do. And because he's a hometown kid, man, as long as he doesn't commit a crime, if he plays decent, they're going to love and accept him. Because one thing I can tell you from working the Peace Tournament last year, Canada and their athletes, they love and they respect their athletes. You have to be totally egregious for them to kick you off the face of the planet. Because at the end of the day, you're a homegrown product. And Quickly's probably great too. A place too. He's looking for a contract. This is the time for him to show up, and hopefully get 100, 120 million next year. I know the Raptors will and have no problem giving him a contract if he plays to it. And they're great at player development. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And you know what? I remember you said this on the podcast a few years ago when you were talking about RJ Barrett. You talked about how he probably would have been before Zion Williamson and John Morant's emergence into their final seasons before coming to the NBA. RJ Barrett was the number one overall pick, or potential one overall pick. The guy had the skill sets, but Zion Williamson and John Morant surpassed him very quickly.
Right.
He's trying to make it to the NBA, but now. Now we're almost 5 years removed from that draft. John Morant only made, and combined with only top 3 players from the 2019 draft, you only seen 2 playoff series wins in between those players. Zion Williamson has yet to play in a playoff game. John Morant, he made the Memphis Grizzlies relevant. They only got to the second round one time. RJ Barrett, he's given the Knicks 2 playoff appearances in his first 4 seasons in the NBA. He probably would have had a 5th if he stayed on the Knicks, but you know what? I'm fine with it. If you're getting something big in return, I'm okay with giving up what could have been a homegrown talent in the New York Knicks.
100%. 100%. Well, it is what it is, and the Knicks are playing good ball right now. And like I said, I still don't have them going past the second round, but we'll see. But I do like the way they're playing, and it's as you can see, he just fits in the roster better. He just really does. And with him and Dante Brunson, they looked really good the other night. Like those guys, and remember they're still gelling. Wait till Precious Achiuwa gets his feet wet and learns some things well too. He will be a decent asset to the Knicks. He can rebound, defend. He's a New York kid from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? And I like Malachi Flynn. I really do. I look more into him. I knew who he was in college and so on and so forth, San Diego State and his team before that. But I started looking more into him, and I think Malachi Flynn can make an impact on the Knicks. I know they signed Deuce McBride to a 3-year deal, so clearly now you have 3 point guards on the roster. But even though Deuce will get the first opportunity, Deuce still has to prove. And if Malachi does get minutes, which I expect eventually he will, and he shows out, that could be your backup point guard. So we'll see.
Yes, we will. And as far as the New York Knicks trying to draw a star after this trade, this is a major step towards making it happen. Not to mention, and obviously it was showcased on the NBA yesterday, the Knicks had 6 first-round picks within the next 2 years. You have Evan Fournier, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo. Those pieces are good assets to bring in a star. But would you actually do that? Like, what are your overall thoughts on the Knicks holding on to those assets and the draft picks for this many years?
They got to do something eventually with it. Well, they definitely got to do something with it. I hope they don't plan on getting rid of Dante or Josh Hart, like you just said. But they have to do something eventually with those draft picks, and to land that big guy and that big star. Because like me and Patrick, the Crash brother, we Knicks fans will argue and fight all the time, and whether he wants to come to grips with it anyway. Because sometimes, like I told him, I said you're a Knicks fan and a Mets fan, but sometimes I told him, I said you can be the most biased, one-sided person when it comes to, like, the Knicks will lose 5 in a row, and he'll come to me and tell me, "Yo, it's everybody else's fault." I'd be like, "Bro, when are you ever just gonna say that we lost? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when is it ever like we? You know what I'm saying? Like, not, oh, this happened, and if this would have happened, then that would happen." I said that is a Mets fan approach, okay? But nevertheless, what I explained to him was that, in my personal opinion, unless they show me the money or prove otherwise, in the next 2 years, remember the Jason Tatum and Brown are locked in together for the next 4 to 5 years as the Celtics. That's going to be a contending team for a little while in the East, right? The Bucks, Giannis has got 1.5 to 2 years left on his deal. Lillard is there locked in from the contract before. So they're going to be together for at least the next 2-3 years. If we ever want to make a push in the East to contend with that, we have to have one more dog to go at it. Brunson's a dog. Randall's a workable dog. You know what I'm saying? You got OG as that other role player, but you need that one other guy to go against those dogs, because when it comes to a 7-game series, those 4 guys that I named that are offensive prodigies, it's just going to just be hard to beat them in a 7-game series. It's not realistic. And I don't care who, as a strong Knicks fan, whatever you like, loyalty or not, if the Knicks in a few months are playing the Celtics in a second round series, no realistic Knicks fan is good. They'll say it with their heart, not with their mind. No realistic Knicks fan can say, we're going to beat the Celtics in a 7-game series. It's just not realistic. We don't have the personnel. You know what I'm saying? Can anything happen? Yes. But this is not the NFL or March Madness, where it's a 1-game situation and sometimes things can go the other way. It's a 7-game series.
And the New York Knicks are not the 2020 and 2023 Miami Heat, clearly.
No. And even against the Bucks, as bad as the Bucks are defensively, in certain cases, and I don't want to say that too bad, because Brook Lopez defends. Giannis can defend. They have guys there that can defend, but as a total, they're doing bad. And we love Dame Lillard too, but Dame Lillard's playing very terrible on defense. But that's neither here nor there. So but offensively, to beat that team in a 7-game series, we're going to have to score 100 to 120 points, maybe sometimes 130 points to beat that team. We see how gifted offensively are. Look at the first 4 contests we played them this year. How
we did manage to get the Christmas Day game against the Milwaukee Bucks at least.
Yeah, so
we got to a strong start. Even when the Knicks held up a little bit, they somehow managed to get that momentum back and finish up Milwaukee that one game. But let's not
Correct.
only one game, and the first 3 times we got waxed by the Milwaukee Bucks.
Correct. So if it was a 7-game series, what would the series be with the first 4 games?
Milwaukee in 5, without question. I mean,
It would be 3. It'd be 3 games to 1 right now. That's what it would be. We played the Celtics 3 times. I believe we lost to the Celtics all 3 times.
Yeah, we lost to the first 3 times. We beat them on Christmas Day, and then we got another game against them in early April, and that's going to be in Milwaukee. And that's a very tough place to play unless you're Indiana Pacers.
Right. Well, that's the Bucks, but I believe I said too. We also lost to the Celtics, I believe, 3 times so far.
We did 3 times, and that extra game, we still got 2 more games against Milwaukee Bucks. If we can win at least 1 game against Milwaukee Bucks, actually, it's not going to change the way we think about how they match up against them. And again, the Knicks have assets to trade for big-time stars. They have Josh Hart, they got Dante DiVincenzo, and then Quentin Grimes is also a trade aspect that the Knicks can use, along with the 3 draft picks over the next 2 years. And then keeping Evan Fournier in the draft market in the trade assets for salary matching purposes. So with the trade deadline coming in over a month from now, don't be surprised if don't be surprised if the Knicks pull another rabbit out their hats. Just at the very least, make it believable that we can compete with the Celtics and the Bucks in the playoff series.
Keep Hart, keep Dante. I like Grimes, but if you have to, Grimes, Evan, might be time for y'all to go, big guys. Might be that time.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to break up the reunion of the 2016 Villanova Wildcats, but something has to happen with the New York Knicks in order for them to get to the championship pedigree.
Right.
Something really has to happen. And, well, obviously, we know in 2023, the Knicks made it to the second round, won their first playoff series in 10 years. But is that one of the best moments in the year 2023? We're going to find out right now, as I'm going to ask this one question. What is that one of your favorite moments in sports in the year 2023, or are there other sports, whether it's in pros, street ball, college?
Well, I think, this personally, my personal 2023 big accolade was going to Canada for the peace tournament. That's just me personally. That was,
I respect that.
You know, that was huge for us, and me, Slim and White, for just announcing and commentary and what we do. So that was huge for me individually. For the professional sports, I don't have anything that probably spurls out. I probably will say, for me, for the professional teams, in hindsight, it would probably be, with not current season now, but with the end part of the Giants season, with them qualifying for the postseason and actually winning a postseason game. That was pretty cool for New York, who the Giants had their interesting struggles over the last few years, even including this year as well. So for them to win a postseason game, that was pretty cool. Me and the guys and the New Yorkers were pretty happy for a week. We knew it was going to be over when they played Philadelphia. But that was pretty cool. The Rangers made a nice little run. I thought they would go farther than that, so that was pretty dope for me personally when they made a run. There were a lot of great other things that happened. I just don't think like it, impacted me, because there were so many things. I mean, look, LSU and Reese won. That we had Vegas, who just won back-to-back titles, which is pretty historic, even against our Liberty. I mean, there's so many great things that individually, happened or team-wise happened. But I'll say definitely peace tournament, Giants winning a postseason game, and I won't even include the Rangers. I want the Rangers to do bigger things this year. So Giants winning a postseason game and me going to Canada for the peace tournament, that was my echelon right there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you already know my favorite moments in 2023. There are some, I've covered a lot of events for Nothing But That Sports Talk, which is almost as much as I did before the COVID, a lot more than I did before the COVID pandemic and the first few years after, when everything was virtual. I had a chance to return to my alma mater to do a few Fordham games. Both end up being victories against George Washington and Duquesne on my way towards covering my first conference finals. It was not conference finals, conference tournament in March Madness, which is the Atlantic 10. I got to win it. I mean, I got to witness a few upsets. VCU managed to pull off another conference win on the way towards another NCAA tournament appearance. I got to see Fordham show out big time. They had their best season in over 21 years and make it to the Atlantic 10 semifinals. Oh, yeah. And college basketball coverage wasn't done for me this year, as I got to cover my first media day, Big East Media Day to be exact, literally not too long after the WNBA Finals, which I will get to later in the conversation. And then, yeah, there's also the fact that I got to check out the Columbia women's basketball team take out the Villanova Wildcats at Columbia University itself. Oh, yeah, we can't forget about watching Fordham thanks to the Abdul Tabila's game with the Doug against Northern Texas at the NABC Brooklyn Showcase. So, yeah, that's it for college basketball for me. Those are my favorite moments. And, well, obviously, none of that will top the fact that I got to witness my New York Liberty at the WNBA Finals, barely losing game 4 to Las Vegas Aces, as we talked about earlier. But it was still a very experience covering those 2 games in the ball of Brooklyn. I mean, they're the first team. I mean, unlike the Brooklyn Nets, where they had KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, they actually surprised me by putting together a super team and reaching the WNBA Finals at least.
Right.
And had the best road record, and at the very least, they won the Commissioner's Cup. But that cannot overshadow the fact that the Aces won back-to-back championships. But
right.
But nonetheless, it was still a great year for the New York Liberty 2020.
Yes. I think we covered
the WNBA Finals, and I mean, I would say WNBA Finals, Big East Media Day, those are my top coverages of 2023. Sorry, Pro City. Sorry, HBCU All-Star Summer Dreams Classic, but those are my favorite coverages in 2023 for me.
Yeah, if the Liberty would have won, that would have been my biggest thing. Even though they did do those other things during the great road record, Commissioner's Cup. If they would have won, that would have trumped everything for me. But they did, and they still had a great season. So a big shout out to them. But being that the Aces, like you said, and like I said, they went back to back. That's more. I have to get out of what I like in my neutrality, right? And just highlight what those young ladies did, because I mean, what they did was phenomenal, and they have an opportunity to win 3 in a row.
Yeah, the first WNBA team to actually have an opportunity to win 3 in a row since the Houston Comets. Well, the Houston Comets didn't win 3 in a row. They won 3 in the first 4 years of the WNBA league as a whole. But the Aces have an opportunity in 2024 to become the first 3-peat champion in WNBA history.
Okay.
They're going to do everything in their power from this offseason, the WNBA draft, and the regular season itself to prevent that from happening. So, yeah. But that's a conversation for another episode.
Yep.
Especially when WNBA offseason, WNBA free agency is like not too many weeks from today. We know they're going to keep Brianna Stewart. I'm a little about what they're going to do with Chocolate Toast, because they say she's going to come back and exit interviews, but she says she's not going to come back. But I mean, Christina Williams alluded to earlier on SNY not too long ago that Chocolate Jones might still come back, but I'll believe it when I see it.
I think she will. I pray she comes back. I pray she comes back. We need her,
because if she doesn't come back, you gotta make a big time trade, and with the
you gotta place.
You gotta make a big time trade for a big time player if you're not gonna bring back Chocolate Jones. But to me, what I would like to see, and that's only if Angel Reese decides to clear for the WNBA draft, is that you draft that girl Angel Reese. She's protected somewhere. I mean, Liberty drafted number 11, but she's protected to draft somewhere between 7 to 8. But if the teams pass up on her, Liberty have to grab her. Imagine her being a backup to Jonquil Jones or Brianna Stewart as a rookie.
It'd be tough. But I just hope they sign Jones back. She does things that nobody else on our current roster can do. And that says a lot, because we have a very talented roster, but her post presence, the fact that she can shoot the 3, even with that post presence, she can face up. She's a tenacious rebounder. She's a shot blocker. She's a very good passer, smart basketball IQ. She's an WNBA champion. Jones is the reason why in the beginning of the season it turned around for the Liberty. And I don't
Mm,
know if you remember, I gave you this conversation where I was like, they're not, and they didn't start off terrible because they won so many games. But when they had a little bit of, trying to get it together in the beginning of the season,
they did.
Jones was she was trying to feel herself out and fill out her role. And when she just came and said, you know what,
That's
I'm going to
true.
play my game and do,
That's
and
true.
she just killed. She makes it more easier for Stewart to do what she does, for oh God, what's that point guard? For Sabrina to do what she does. She with what she does, because she can play in the block and play in the perimeter, changes the whole dynamic of the floor. And I would just cringe to lose that right now. That's just me personally. You'd have to make a big trade, but I don't know if you can ever get what Miss Jones can do again. Hopefully.
Exactly. And you may never get an off season like what the Liberty had in 2023 ever again, or at least for a while.
No.
A while. Especially when Caitlin Clark comes into the league. Oh, yeah, and this is a big year for Caitlin Clark. We can't forget about that. She almost won a national championship, but they did lose against LSU. But I expect her to become national champions this year. You hear it first.
We shall see with the Hawkeyes.
Yeah. And now we get to the worst moments of 2023. I mean, yeah, obviously the Mets Yankees both missing the playoffs for the first time in a while. I mean, the Mets they played terrible almost all season long after that huge off season where they managed to get Justin Verlander. You only had him for like half a season just to trade it back to Houston Astros because you weren't having that great of a year. And then Max Scherzer, he wasn't that great either. I mean, he was so solid, but the Mets weren't getting enough. They didn't really have enough offense. Pete Alonso was having injury issues. The offense just wasn't there, even on games where the pitching was actually solid. So yeah, the Mets, they stink. And then the Yankees, they had a stretch where they were 10 games below 500, but they did manage to finish with a plus 500 season. But the only thing good about that season is that you had a complete game from a guy who beat up his wife, and he got so many charges for it. That's the only thing we can remember for the 2023 Yankees. Let's be honest. Yeah, those are my worst moments of 2023. What's yours?
Well, geez, did you have to throw Domingo Herman under the bus by saying so? You could have found another prettier way to paint the fact that he's had off the field issues, but I understand what you're saying. We hold no punches here with that. They did some other cool things during the season, but in hindsight, whether nobody wants to buy it or not, just like you said, and I know that people are going to say, "Oh, because you're such a Mets hater." The Mets were the most disappointing thing in 2023 in all sports.
Mm-hmm.
In all sports. I'm not even going to go super in depth why, but I'll just say flat out that when you have the highest payroll in the history of professional sports for one individual season, you have to do better than under 500 and no postseason appearance. That's all I will say. If the Yankees would have did that same thing, we would have never been stopped talking about it.
But the Yankees second highest payroll in sports.
Say again?
The Yankees had the second highest payroll in baseball. After the offseason, when the offseason came around, they did pick up Juan Soto, but they let Luis Cervino walk to the New York Mets.
That's fine. He can go. Cervino. It wasn't like Cervino was doing much. So good luck with them with the back end with that. And but here goes the thing. The Yankees had the second highest payroll, 100%. They finished above 500. They had a month where they were kind of up and down. If they could have been 500, they're a postseason team, and they didn't even deserve to be a postseason team. So what I'm saying is they find a way to put things together even when it's bad. When you have the highest payroll in the life of sports, you have to go to the playoffs. At least minimum. They were a fourth place team in their division. And that's because the Nationals are just absolutely terrible. So, if the Knicks would have had, which we've done that before, but if it's just certain teams that get certain exceptions. If the Cowboys would have did that, we would have been killing the Cowboys. We kill the Cowboys for anything. So if the Cowboys would have had the highest payroll in sports and not qualified for the postseason, it'd have been a topic forever. And Mets fan base and Mets people get away with the fact that they can never say anything to me ever again about money with payroll with a team, because I'm always going to pull back this 2023 year and I'm going to say you had the highest payroll in life and you couldn't even get into the postseason. If the Knicks, I just know as a Yankee fan, if we would have did that, it would have still been a conversation now. And they would have said, oh, you guys buy this, you buy what they did last year to have the highest payroll. Did they even get 80 wins?
I believe they got like in the I believe they had like in the 70s.
No, exactly. And there's 162 baseball games. So if you have the highest payroll in something, it's probably in your best interest to at least qualify for the postseason. And they couldn't even do that.
Exactly. And remember that video that I showed you where Tex Henry said that the Mets and Yankees were going to be in the World Series? What do you think happened in 2023? What do you think happened?
I always tell you that's a pipe dream. Put it in a pipe and smoke it. It's so hard. It's so hard for that to work on both sides. It takes so much in all sports. I've been in New York during a time when the Jets and Giants were good, when Favre was there, and they're both like, "Oh, Jets, Giants, and the Super." Man, bro, that is so hard. Those are one of those things that is not more of a reality until both whatever teams of the respective same state are like a round away. It's so hard to. It's just so hard. When the Yankees and Mets went in 2000. The Yankees were a big favorite to come out the AL. The Mets were underdogs and went to the World Series. The Mets had a good team, without a shadow of a doubt, and they kicked people's butts, so they deserve to get there. But that was so unprecedented. Now think about it. When's the last time the Yankees and Mets been in the World Series again? It's so hard for something. It's for 24 years since that, and who knows? We might not never see it again. I mean, it's just so hard. For that predicament, it'd be very difficult for the Jets and the Giants both to be in the Super Bowl. Shoot, they struggling winning their division, yet alone to get to the Super Bowl. So, same thing. We'll see, but they can't live that one down. I'm sorry. In no sports, I'll say that on record. It is not acceptable for you to have the highest payroll and at least not to go into the tournament to win.
I hope you keep hammering Patrick Pollard with that thoughts.
I do, but like I told you with Pat, nothing. Pat, and this is because we got a little edgy on the show today. Pat's infatuation with the Mets is like, and I'm a stretch with this metaphor, is like knowing that your mother's a crackhead and living in the projects, but she's still your mother, so you got to say something good. No matter what, no matter how they continue to fail, I have went to IS8 for years with Patrick, and every year he's telling me about the Mets, and he says, watch out this year with your Yankees, consequences, I'm going to talk to you at the end of the year, and the Mets continue to do nothing. And if I talk to him in a few months, he's going to tell me it's different this year, they're going to win the division. The Phillies were having their run the last 2 years, and all he could talk about is, oh, we killed the Phillies in the regular season. I said, but who cares? You're not playing now. They're playing.
You know what? The Phillies almost made back-to-back World Series appearance, and I got to address you on that one because for 2 years in a row, you thought the Phillies weren't going to go to the NLCS and after defeating the Atlanta Braves, and they won.
Yeah, they showed the money. They proved me wrong. I knew they had good teams. I didn't know they had teams to make they didn't make it this year to the World Series, but I didn't know they had the teams to make that run that they did. They had such an incredible game against that Cardinals 2 years ago and just went on a buzzsaw. But we watched the Braves win, and they're still trying to figure things out. And no matter what it is with him, no matter what it is, he'll always talk to me about other things. When the Mets fall out and they're not doing well, and last year was a bad example because the Yankees didn't do well neither, so we both couldn't talk about nothing even though we were better than them. there's been years that the Yankees are going to go to postseason and do well, and he'll talk all crap to me in the beginning of the year about the Mets. And then when they fizzle out by like June, July, and out of it, he won't talk. He doesn't talk baseball no more. You know what he does? He does talk baseball, but he does what the typical Mets fan does. They stop focusing on their team because they know their season is over. And now it becomes watch the Yankees every move because this is our season now. We're going to wait to see to when you guys lose, and then that's when we're going to talk baseball again. So I told him that I'm sick and I'm done talking baseball. Last year we didn't talk that much baseball. I said I don't want to talk baseball with you. You're euphoric. You're unrealistic. You're
Yeah, you said you didn't
170%
want to talk about
biased.
baseball. And there were moments where, I mean, on the show were moments where I had to talk about baseball anyway, because, you know, as a podcast host and a field journalist, I had to be up to date. I had to keep up to date on what's going on. That's our job.
Look, I got another unrealistic Mets fan here, but at least he has more better sense than Patrick. So, you can say hi if you want to. Obviously, yeah, this guy right here, oh my God, this guy is the most euphoric, unrealistic Mets fan I've come across in history. But no, actually, he's second because Pat is so bad, he can't, I don't talk baseball with him no more. They just did this sometime during
I said to that when he came on the show last year, this past season, for 2 weeks in a row. I made y'all go back and forth about LeBron and Jordan.
Don't even talk. Oh Lord, oh my goodness.
We tried to tell him that LeBron is in the same room as Jordan, but he wouldn't listen. It's LeBron James. He
still don't even bring that up. Oh my God, we had a fight the other day again too about something else. It wasn't Jordan, LeBron. But then he was talking to me about, oh, no, we had a conversation and he had this nerve. I said, well, LeBron is still like top 10. He's like, no, he's not. I said, so you're going to tell me, I named some guys, and the guys that I said, you're saying that it was just one of those things that I was like,
LeBron is 39 years old and still playing the NBA as a starter. What did Michael Jordan play that in the league that long? Seriously, that's not even a debate.
You know, it is what it is. But baseball 2023, yeah, that's probably the low part in general to me in professional sports. If you have the highest payroll of something and you don't even qualify for the postseason, that's the disappointment.
You trade Max Scherzer to the Texas Rangers, and the Rangers go on to win the World Series against the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Enough said.
That's pretty. Shout out to the Texas Rangers for finally getting a World Series win. So I'll give them their flowers.
Yes, sir.
They really deserve it. That's literally the worst moment for me. And I mean, there's a lot of worst moments that can go along from my end. I mean, I don't really know what to. I don't really have any worst moments. I guess I could throw in the New York Giants and the New York Jets. You picked up Aaron Rodgers in a trade, and then after 4 series into the season, he gets hurt. The Jets
4 plays.
4 plays. Gets hurt, and the Jets do bad again. The Giants, the way they started the season against the Dallas Cowboys is pretty much how they were going to play the rest of the season when they're going up against teams they expected to lose to. And then you caught the Philadelphia Eagles at a time where they weren't even playing all that well, and then you lose to them on Christmas Day as expected, although they put up a much better fight than we thought. And you couldn't hit a game-winning field goal against the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, don't even talk about that one. And Tyrod Taylor missed Saquon Barkley with a clear pass for a 2-point conversion. I mean, it's all when it rains, it pours, and then it's tsunamis. So, you know, like I tell guys that when you're playing decent, you get breaks and breaks go your way. And when you're not, everything that can go wrong goes wrong. And that's just a microcosm of the Giants season that it wasn't supposed to, just like you said, from week 1, that was a scary aberration of what was to be foreshadowed for the whole entire year. And at least with the Jets and the Giants, as we clearly see, the Jets' future was all predicated on Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. And at least with the Giants, we knew that, and the Jets have had years where they're trying to get better. There wasn't like they were the hiatus. As a matter of fact, I think they're the longest tenured team in the NFL currently right now to not go to the postseason. So the Giants also, you know, whether we want to admit it or not, is in a rebuild stage. When Brian got there the year before, they weren't great. That's why they went out and got Brian. I think last year we had early success that we weren't supposed to have. Because you see, remember, last year I picked them to be 7-10. This year I went 10-7.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have flip-flopped it because I would have made more sense, because I thought that what they should have did last year is what they would have been on pace to do now, not the other way around. And sometimes it happens like that, where, it is what it is. And both teams will have to figure out the biggest problems for the Jets and the Giants is they need to improve on the offensive line, period. And when they do those two things, then they will have a lot more success as football teams.
Yeah, and then we know for sure that Zach Wilson will not be a starter next year when Aaron Rodgers finally plays one season. So yeah, and Daniel Jones will be healthy. So
I don't know what that means, but whatever.
Yeah, we can expect good things to happen for the football team, but to me, the Jets and Giants were the worst in 2023. I'll just leave it at that. Now we get to our pro and college championship predictions in the year 2024. And let's start off with college. I mean, for women's college basketball, I kind of already teased it earlier, but I'm thinking this is the year that Iowa put the nail in the coffin when Caitlin Clark walks out of her college basketball career with a national championship to redeem herself from getting smoked by LSU. Do you see the game winner she hit against Michigan State earlier this week?
I did. She might get it. If LSU or South Carolina can't find a way to get back into that national TD. But I'll second that motion. I'll say that but the women's tournament sometimes can be so devilish. But I will go on to say that I'll agree with you. She should get her title to this year.
Yes, she will. She will go into the WNBA as a national championship. Imagine her, and yeah, that's going to be my predictions for college basketball for the women's side. I mean, come on now. I mean, we ain't thinking happen in women's college basketball. Now that I predict the champion, I can predict at least one Cinderella story that could happen with the Villanova Wildcats. I mean, I watched Villanova play lights out before in a game that they barely lost against the Columbia Lions. I think Villanova could potentially be back in the Sweet 16 again.
Villanova men or women?
Women.
Okay, yes, okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, from what I saw in Columbia last year, or this season, early this season rather, they have that potential to be a Sweet 16 team at least.
Knock on wood.
And UConn, they're gonna have this. They're gonna be a Final Four team, I believe. I mean, well, even though they kind of lost AZ Fun for the season, that's a tough blow.
And that's huge.
That's a huge blow. You know what I was? You know what? If you pay attention to my reporting for the Big East Media Day, when I interviewed Gino Arian, I was just talking to him about how he's going to help. He's going to coach his players to get UConn back to that championship pedigree that we saw in years past. And this is not what he had coming. If you see my interviews, Ryan.
The ladies tournament is just the men's tournament. We know how freaky it gets, but it and that's why I made the reference not too long ago with the NFL and college with the tournament. When you have a 1-game situation and everything's on the line for that one day, boy, I tell you, even the mighty can fall. So, and sometimes teams start surging later in the year. And you remember that word we made up? Well, not made up, but yeah, that word, that buzzsaw. Sometimes you just run into a buzzsaw. And
they ran into a good Ohio State team that Gino Auriemma said that they had no business losing to. When I spoke about it at the media day earlier this season.
So let's just hope that everything continues to work. I would love to see her win a title. I would love to see her. That would be a good way to go out and to get into the draft. And hopefully everything works out for them. Hopefully health as well too, and they get back to that show and Clark does what she has to do and wins the national championship. But we'll see. I mean, it's anytime you got the UConns, the South Carolinas, like you said, Villanova should be patted for a run again too. There are a lot of good teams that are still out there, and with the women's game, I think it's so much more fair now because instead of these top schools getting all the girls, the talent and the wealth is spread out everywhere, and it gives everybody an opportunity.
Exactly. You see, especially exactly. I mean, come on now. You got UCLA being led by this girl named Judy Wickens. The girl could ball.
There's some girls out there, man. Paris, there's some girls.
From UCLA, I expect those teams to at least make it to the Sweet 16. Well, but then again, it depends on the tournament structure. I don't want to make no predictions just yet. March Madness is 2 months further ahead of us. So yeah,
100%.
But those are my predictions for the women's side. Now on to the men's side. We had our Cinderella story, and you're not gonna agree with me on this one, but I think that we could probably see Duke back in the Final Four again in the national championship game against Kansas. And mind you, this is gonna be the last era before your boy comes to Duke. You know who I'm talking about, Mr. I Pledge Allegiance to the Flag.
Cooper Flag next year, but we get studs all the time, so that's normal for us. We don't that'll never stop. The rich keep getting richer, and
I mean, Kansas will have to run, but at the end of the day, it will all boil down to I have a feeling Kansas and Duke will face off in a national championship. You hear it first.
I hear you. I won't. I'm not. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm more savvy with the men's game than the ladies' game, even though I focus on the ladies' game as well. I have nobody that I'm picking for that Final Four. The tournament is absolutely bizarre. I'm a Duke fan, so of course I will support and want them to go as far as possible. They do have a roster that can make an NCAA run. They have a senior with Jeremy Roach, who's experienced and proven. Proctor will be back very shortly, the kid from Australia in his second year, who's a ball player. Caleb has developed big time. Kyle Flipkowski, he'll be entering the draft this year. He's a ball player. We got Mark Mitchell. I think John Shai is doing a very good, solid job replacing Coach K, which is very hard shoes to fill. We have a lot of really decent players on the team, and we play as a nice collective unit. We've had some interesting slight losses here and there. Nothing crazy.
They're number 14 in the country, so you should be good.
Yeah, they're fine. I mean, they were 1 or 2 at one point. I even that when they started off with the rank, I was like, I think we're ranked too high. But we're right in the middle of the pack, and we just need to continue to stay that way. The ACC is very, very tough. It's a lot of really good teams in the ACC.
Tar Heels ranked number 8, and 8 you got NC State. Well, both North Carolina area teams in the top 2. Oh yeah, there's a Miami Hurricanes who was in the final.
Yeah,
into the Final Four last year, I believe.
Yeah, but remember, you got a lot of it. Like Wake Forest plays in North Carolina. They're a decent team. I'm saying there's a lot of teams that in the AC, like you said, Miami, Florida State. I'm saying the ACC, Virginia always gives people a tough time. The ACC, Syracuse. There's a lot of teams that you just have to be savvy about. Listen, from your mouth to God's ears, I would love to see Duke and Kansas in the national championship. I would pray that we win because I would not want to hear anything from Aaron or them. I would love to. It's so crazy. When we win against them, I don't say nothing to them. I just let it sit in.
Don't worry about it. Cooper Flag era comes, and I said this to Adrian Franklin at the Aces overtime elite event earlier this year. When the Cooper Flag era comes around, and every time Kansas and Duke face off, I told them you're gonna have Aaron saying the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag.
Duke defeats Kansas. So I'll make sure she hears this.
And we got some other good kids coming next year too. That's a part of that class. And hopefully we'll be fortunate enough to get VJ Edgecombe from Luha to commit them. Duke is like his big top priority right now. St. John's is like a secondary. But I'm hearing Duke is strong on his radar. If we get that kid, remember VJ Edgecombe, I said it to you from Luha, and I just after the show, just not just Cooper Flag's amazing, but look at the other kids that are coming in the class next year.
Ian Jackson, no, yeah,
That's North Carolina. That's North Carolina.
Yeah, you're gonna have a tough time against Ian Jackson when he comes into the league. Watch, bet it. And I'm telling people this guy's gonna be the next big thing. Oh yeah,
I hope so.
you have a chance to. Oh yeah, you know what? You have a chance to check out Ian Jackson at the Nike Swoosh Classic this year. I mean, just to advertise this year, they're gonna take place at Christ the King's, Sue Bird's alma mater.
Yes.
So yeah, make sure you guys go down there and check it out because the Nike Swoosh Classic has some incredible games, incredible players that you're gonna want to watch. Both South Shore boys and girls gonna be playing. OSL gonna be playing. Christ the Kings, of course, they're gonna be playing. They're gonna be some good high school teams.
No, it's gonna be good.
Back to my championship prediction. Since yeah, that's my prediction for the college championships. For basketball at least.
Yeah, I don't have nobody that I'm gonna say is gonna win off top.
That's fine. I mean, we're gonna see. I mean, we're gonna have a Cinderella story somehow, some way. Last year we saw it for Princeton. The year before that we saw it for St. Peter's. That was the one that was my favorite Cinderella story, by the way. I mean, come on, tri-state area, you can't beat that.
Yeah, that was tough for St. Peter's. That was big time.
But I mean, I don't want to make any Cinderella predictions, but I will say. Not to want to start from Fordham against George Washington, who was 11-2 going into conference play. I think Fordham could make it to the A10 championship game at least.
I agree.
Find a way to make it to the top two.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, they were in the semis last year. It's so tough when you have those conferences and you're only probably going to get one at-large bid. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think they should be able to get to the finals this year, and I would love to see them to win it and get invited to that dance. That would be huge for the program. So let's keep our fingers crossed. It's so tough. We do the same thing every year with Hofstra too. Hofstra's in a conference that you get in one at-large bid. You know how many years over the last few years Hofstra won the regular season and couldn't win the tournament? You know, their conference tournament per se. So it's very difficult. And we'll see where these metropolitan teams fall into the whole mix as well too. And like you said, in 2 months, March Madness will be very good on both sides.
Yes, we shall see. All right, now we get to the pros. Well, the NFL playoffs is coming up, and we'll get more in depth on the NFL playoffs in a minute. But my prediction, and I can't believe actually saying this as a Giants fan, the Dallas it'll go down between the San Francisco 49ers and the San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl. I want to say the Dallas Cowboys, but I have no faith that the Dallas Cowboys can make it get past the 49ers.
I'm picking the same Super Bowl, and for Baltimore to win.
Yeah,
but that's just
not Baltimore winning this time. Yeah, but we're going to see a Super Bowl rematch. You know that Super Bowl in New Orleans where San Francisco almost beat Baltimore when after the lights went out.
Correct.
We're going to be seeing a rematch of that Super Bowl. I have no faith in Brock Purdy carrying San Francisco to a Super Bowl. As much as I like the way what they put together ever since Brock Purdy played, I have no faith in San Francisco 49ers putting the nail in the coffin. I really don't. And that's why I predict them to get to the Super Bowl only because they're going to have home field advantage after getting number 1 seed, and they're going to have only 2 playoff wins in order to get to the Super Bowl because Dallas, they're not getting past San Francisco. Detroit Lions, they just got back to being an elite NFL playoff team. They're going to have at least 1 playoff game at home for the first time in over 20 years. Let's see how the fans are going to enjoy watching Detroit probably crumble under pressure, depending on who they get in the first round, because it can go either way after the upcoming final week of the NFL season. Oh yeah, and the Philadelphia Eagles, they lost 4 of the last 5.
Well, this is why I pick with the same pick you're paying because those are the 2 top teams. But I will also reiterate and say it again: the NFL playoffs, it's a 1-game thing, any given Sunday or Saturday. And as much as those are the 2 clear-cut favorites, let's the NFL playoffs are very open. There are about 4 to 6 teams right now that can win the Super Bowl. Debatably. Telling you that right now without a shadow of a doubt. Yes, the Eagles have not played good football in the last month. They've lost 3 out of their last 4, maybe 4 out of the last 5, 3 out of the last 4. If the Giants weren't so anemic, that would have been one they could have get. But even though the Eagles have lost those games and they have a different offensive coordinator, they do have a different defensive coordinator. Their secondary is playing absolutely egregious. We also have to remember this was the team that went to the Super Bowl last year.
That's
And
true.
with that, they do know how to win in the playoffs. They do know how to compete in the playoffs, and their core guys that have been there have done that. So, I mean, I don't want to say they're one of those teams that can just flip a light switch and get back to it, but with their pedigree and some of the guys that have been there, I don't want the world to think that they're not a threat because they're not playing now. Because they still are going to go to the playoffs, and when everybody goes to the playoffs, everybody's 0-0. And if we don't, if we blind ourselves to say that the defending NFC champions cannot get back to the Super Bowl, then you're blinding yourselves.
Yeah,
The San Francisco.
Before you continue talking, can you tilt your camera up a little bit?
Yes, the San Francisco 49ers
That works.
have proven with the body of work over the regular season that they can be a Super Bowl team. They got beat by the Baltimore Ravens. That's not a body of evidence to show because the Ravens are a really good football team, and the Ravens have been beating up on a lot of teams this year. So but with their body of evidence and with some bad things not going their right way in the NFC Championship game last year, not having a full healthy roster, they have everything in their mindset that, of course, we know they can get back. I want you to pump the brakes a little bit on the Lions. I do not think the Lions are going to lose their first game. I think the Lions are finally going to win a playoff game, and I'm taking a big risk for this.
I mean, they're going to win a playoff game without a shadow of a doubt. But when you get to, but can they compete? But my only question is, can they compete with the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers? They barely lost to the Cowboys last week.
Of course they can. They debatably should have won that Lions game, the Cowboys game, with a lot of interesting calls at the end, but that's neither here nor. It's not like the Cowboys beat them 35-10. It was 20-19. So if you're saying to me, can they beat that team? Yes, they can beat that team. Yes, they can. Yes, they, without a shadow of a doubt, they can. They can beat them at home, and clearly they can go down to Dallas and give them a competitive game. They have all the keys to do it. They have a quarterback that has went to the Super Bowl before and knows how to win in the postseason. If anything, he knows how to win more in the postseason than Dak Prescott does.
Dak Prescott only won like 2 or 3 playoff games in his NFL career.
Goff lost to Brady. Otherwise, they probably win the Super Bowl. But so the defense is playing better for the Lions. 2 of the guys that were out from earlier the year because of situations are back. And the Lions have a rushing attack. They can make a run if they get into one of their grooves. So with that, and then, you know, as much as I don't like them, the Dallas Cowboys have a good football team. They went undefeated at home at 8-0. Their problem is the road, which is 3-5. We'll see how they do this weekend. Maybe it might be 3-6 if they lose to Washington and can't wrap up that number 2 seed. Then that says something, because if they don't, they'll be a 5 seed and they'll probably have to go play at Tampa Bay. But so the Cowboys definitely have the keys because they have great playmakers on the defense. Micah Parsons, Bland. They have a good linebacker core. Lawrence is there, and they have Dak Prescott, who's a good quarterback, new offensive system, but he's not turning the ball over. They have receivers, so they have the keys to do it. The biggest thing about the Cowboys is if they don't get that number 2 seed, is that they're a terrible road team. And on top of being a terrible road team, they, excluding the Lions, which is a 1-point victory in a controversial game, they have not beat. I'm sorry, they beat the Eagles. So, excluding the Cowboys and the Eagles, those are the only 2 competitive teams they beat.
Those are the only. Think about the Cowboys have only, and I was getting ready to say the Cowboys have only won 2 games against teams currently in the playoff standings going into 2018. Everybody,
and one was,
you know, they won against teams that either were in last place or had a losing record at the time. They did beat. I mean, the Chargers, they have a losing record right now, but at the time that the Cowboys beat them, they were decent. They were decent at the beginning.
We can't look at it. No, So in the NFC, it could go anywhere with that. AFC now, Baltimore. We see they're a juggernaut, clear favorite. They could get all the way through. But let's not blind ourselves, guys. As much as they're not playing their greatest, the defending the champions, that guy Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, they are still in the AFC. And until somebody dethrones them or sends them home, that is something that you need to pay attention to.
Kansas City hasn't been dethroned before.
Say it again.
It's not like as if the Kansas City Chiefs hasn't been dethroned before.
I understand that. However, they're not dethroned yet. And until that happens, they're the defending champions. So if Kansas City didn't start playing so up and down in the last few weeks, we probably all would be saying that we think the Chiefs should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, who's the best quarterback in the NFL?
Patrick Mahomes.
So when you have a chance with the best quarterback in football, the problem with the Chiefs this year is that their receivers are playing absolutely horrific. They need to remember that who the heck they are, and that's really their issue is their receivers. Because everything else, the defense is playing well. Pacheco is a very good running back. We know what Mahomes could do.
I noticed in the loss against the Philadelphia Eagles that Patrick Mahomes has kind of a communication problems with his receivers in the passing game.
They're playing crappy.
They have to I mean, the receivers aren't bad. They just have a little bit of a communication issues. I mean, it's like the receivers aren't really aware when he's going to throw the ball. But then again, when you only have two eyes and your eyes are literally focused on like what's in front of you and not what Patrick Mahomes is about to throw to you, you have to like have good awareness on the field, and that's for everything in life. And if you don't have good awareness, you're not gonna be that great of a receiver or tight end.
So we'll see. Those are the 6 teams that I think that have a debatable chance of winning the Super Bowl. We can't forget about the champs. We can't forget about the runners-up. And there are many teams in the mix that should do it, but we'll still probably go with the contemporary favorites, Baltimore, San Fran. But when you always pick both of the favorites, sometimes it never works out. So this is me too. Trust me, the NFL playoffs are very kooky for that.
Yeah, they are they kind of are. All right, now about predictions for NBA in 2024. I mean, I'm gonna just get straight to the point. Boston and Minnesota, with Boston coming out top. Yeah, Boston has the experience. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're number 1 seed in the Western Conference. They finally reached that championship pedigree that they've been working so hard for since they drafted Karl-Anthony Towns at number 1 in 2015. They get playoff appearances here and there, but I think this will be the year the Minnesota Timberwolves finally make it to the NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics. And Boston will be the first to get that 18th ring.
Nice.
Boston over Minnesota. Boston will get the Boston Celtics. They will get through whoever comes out of the in-season tournaments. They'll beat Miami again. If they'll beat Miami again, or if it's not Miami in the second round, it'll be New York Knicks, unfortunately. Boston will get to the NBA Finals and beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's my prediction. What about you?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not picking the Minnesota Timberwolves. No disrespect. What? Like Anthony. I mean, I'm sorry that
going to lose before reaching the finals. Like, look at how they struggled at the beginning of the year. You see how they've been playing. So
they're playing good basketball. Anthony Edwards is an absolute phenom. Karl-Anthony Towns playing at a high level. Gobert, the guys are playing well. McDaniels, they have a good team. They're well coached. I'm not ready yet. I think they're second round, maybe even third. This might sound crazy. I know they're young. I really like what Oklahoma City does, bro. I really, really like what Oklahoma City does.
Oklahoma City is not ready for that championship pedigree yet.
And Minnesota is?
Yes, they are. I mean, come on. You see how well together the Minnesota Timberwolves are to begin the season. Now, to be fair, they are going to be in a dogfight for the top seed because Denver and OKC are breathing down their neck.
Correct.
Okay. Thoughts the number 1 seed. I can't even put them in the NBA Finals.
Who?
Minnesota Timberwolves. If they can't hold off OKC in Denver, they're not going to the NBA Finals. It's just that simple.
Well, that's what I'm. The Minnesota Timberwolves have a good team, and I think they'll make a playoff run and can do some things. I'm just very apprehensive to put them in the NBA Finals right away. Um, and it could happen, but I'd have to see a first round win, which they could do, and see how good they look in that second round and be like, you know what? This could beat them, even though they have Conley and all that stuff. I like the Denver Nuggets going back, bro, regardless of seeding. You know what I'm saying? I like the Nuggets going back, and believe it or not, because the West is so open, I just like OKC and their young kids. I like what Chet is doing. I love what Shea is doing. Debatably the best point guard in the NBA.
But that's what you have is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He's a good point guard, but look at the pieces you have. You had Chad Holmgren, who literally just played in the NBA. And
Yeah,
you got
possibly going to win Rookie of the Year.
Josh Giddey. He's all right, but I'm just not too sold on Josh Giddey. And then what was the other piece you picked up with?
How about the kid Jaden? That kid Jaden is tough. He scores 29, 30 out there all the time.
I'm just not so at OKC. They're probably going to be like how Sacramento was last year. They surprise you by getting the top three and then losing the first round. That's just the way I see it. The West is wide open, man. Come on.
The Oklahoma City Thunder, I know, will be a matchup that nobody would want to play them in the first round. They're young, they're fast, they play up tempo, they have nothing to lose, and they have some really good young upcoming players. That's all I will say. But in hindsight, like I said, I have the Denver Nuggets going back to the NBA Finals.
And what about who's coming out of the Eastern Conference?
Oh, the Boston Celtics. If the Bucks can ever learn how to defend, then I will say the Milwaukee Bucks. But their defensive lacks are killing me. And I think against Boston.
I mean, look, they barely defeated the San Antonio Spurs. It's San Antonio Spurs 25 games.
Correct. So definitely the Celtics and Nuggets. And I don't know where to pick for this one. I want to say the Nuggets go back to back. But the Celtics should get this title. They should get the 18th this year. They better. If not, then that shows another magicness about Jokic. So, but I definitely like Celtics, and I like Nuggets in the finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now we get to the women's side. And when I mean women, I mean WNBA, a league that I actually focus on extensively, who are actually interview pros. Now, I mean, this time around, it's going to be the Aces versus Liberty Part 2. Only this time it will go 5 games. Now the Aces might, depending on how the offseason goes, the Aces might win it, might get that elusive three-peat. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, even though my heart's saying New York Liberty. I think this will be the time where we finally get to see our first WNBA three-peats. With the Aces coming on top over the Liberty. They're going to split the first 4 games, and the Aces will win a championship again. I mean, come on now. This roster has the potential to get it done. Nobody's stopping the Las Vegas Aces. I'm saying it as it is right now. They're going to win the championship in 2024 and get that three-peats.
Depending on what I have the same finals, but depending on what the Liberty do in the offseason, well, if they keep Jones and get a backup point guard, a young one, like I told you, that can defend and score a bucket, and an offensive spark for the second unit as a guard forward, I like them going back to the WNBA Finals based off their off season. So that means it would be Liberty and Aces. And if that does happen, and as long as they keep this acquisition and add those other pieces that I said they need for the team, then I will pick the Liberty to win this championship over them and stop the attempt at the three-peat. That's also on key on their off-season acquisitions. And if they can't do that, then we have to be very careful about the Connecticut's.
Connecticut, they're going to be a threat.
Yeah. We have to be very cognizant of Washington. You know, so there are some teams, especially I know the teams that, even as good as the Liberty are, gave the Liberty issues. And if the Liberty don't get Jones and add those other acquisitions, I think to improve their team, they can have an issue of getting out the Eastern Conference if they don't continue
or in this
to
case,
add to the team. Correct. Getting to the WNBA Finals, pardon me, if they don't continue to add onto it. The Vegas has more of a better shot of definitely getting back because their core is there and they know how to win and they're winners. So if everything goes all, I got Aces, Liberty back in the finals, and I have Liberty improving on the team to get them in a 5-game series.
That's a very interesting prediction. I mean, I got the same prediction as well. Although I
picked the Aces this year over Liberty. Remember, as much as it hurt me. So
you were right about that. You were right for skipping Game 4 for the preseason to watch the Knicks get smoked in the preseason game against the Wizards that same day.
Absolutely, I definitely was. Made the better choice.
So yeah, and you text me that night saying, "See, I told you so." I'm glad I didn't go.
I'm glad I didn't pay for my ticket that night. I paid for a playoff win, and when they won the closeout game,
you barely
first round.
I mean, it was a sweep, but you barely won.
Listen, I was there for a win. You were covering for a loss. I'll take my chance. I'll take my chance. My
Actually, I was covering for a win and a loss. I covered both WNBA Finals games.
This is true.
That to me is my highlight 2023. But
this is true.
Yeah, although I can't sleep on the Atlanta Dream, and the Dallas Wings. That team is coming, and then
they are.
I think by the Indiana Fever, they're going to be a lower seeded playoff team to get and try to give the top 3 teams fits.
100%.
We don't know what's going to happen with. Oh yeah, we can't ignore the fact that Skylar Diggins-Smith is still in the league. We don't know where she's going to go.
Right. It's a lot of big predictions, but
we don't know what kind of Phoenix Mercury team we're going to get because they're not because. I mean, if Paige Beckers decides to commit to WNBA, she's going to go there. It's going to take a while for the Phoenix Mercury to get back. We don't know what we're going to get for the Seattle Storm. All you really have is Jewel Lloyd and that Ezzy McAbor lady. I mean, Jewel Lloyd can only do so much.
Only time can tell how the clock ticks.
But depending on how it's structured, yeah, I predict Aces versus Liberty in the finals again in 2024. Liberty will at the very least reach a Game 5.
100%.
Now we get to some baseball. Baseball is just unpredictable.
Very tough to predict.
It's just very tough to predict. I mean, last year you had the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Year before you got the Phillies and the Padres. Baseball is unpredictable. We don't know how the teams are going to come out, but I can't believe you're probably gonna be happy about my prediction, but maybe you won't. I'm picking the Yankees and the Dodgers in the World Series. You see the Dodgers picked up Ohtani, right? You see that?
Yeah, my TV works.
Dodgers, Yankees versus Dodgers in the World Series. I'm going to take that prediction gamble right there because I told you in the text message that this is what's going to be the topic of the show, which is our championship, pro championship, and college championship predictions. I got the Yankees versus the Dodgers in the World Series. I think the Yankees can finally get past the Houston Astros and get to the World Series. With the Yankees winning in 7. Imagine that World Series.
It'd be phenomenal. I'll stick with your pick on that. I'll stick with that. But the only thing that I was going to say for baseball wise is that I just want the Yankees to be better than they were last year. And if they can win the division, that's a good start for me. And them making a run in the postseason, we'll see. I know they're going to be very dynamic with Soto. Soto's a big-time player, one of the top players in the league. With him and Judge in the lineup, it'll be crazy. Now maybe that'll give less pressure to LeMahieu, Anthony Rizzo, Giancarlo Stanton can just DH now. I think the acquisition of Soto is going to make all those guys so much better because he draws walks, he can hit. He's going to bring him and Judge will bring protection to the lineup, and those other guys can now see a lot more fastballs and pitches they can hit. So I think the acquisition of Soto just absolutely 360s the team. They have enough pitching. They probably need to add one or two more arms. But I just have them being better. And I can see Dodgers. I can see Dodgers, Yankees in the World Series, but we need to win the division first. So, you know me, I'm crawling with them, even with the talent, one step at a time. But that's a nice prediction.
Yes, that's very nice. Now onto some hockey predictions. You see the Rangers, the way the Rangers have been playing.
Oh, playing phenomenal hockey. You know, I got them going to the Cup, so you don't even got to ask me about them at the Eastern Conference. I got them going to the Stanley.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to surprise you only because the season today they would get the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round, and Tampa Bay own the Rangers.
We're gonna beat Tampa Bay. Cannot be. All right. Make sure you have some money ready then.
I'm not putting no money on the line. But what I will say is this: I'm going to surprise. I mean, as much as I would like to see the Rangers finally put the nail in the coffin and reach the Stanley Cup Finals, not only win the Stanley Cup, I could predict the Rangers to. I could predict Rangers in Colorado with the Colorado Avalanche winning in 7 because Colorado just has that championship pedigree that we saw a few years ago when they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in the 2022 Stanley Cup Finals. But I'm going to surprise you a little bit and pick the New York Islanders to get to Stanley Cup Championship and face. I'm probably going to pick them to face the winning pig, the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, Vegas has that championship pedigree, and the Islanders will win that series in 6. I'm sorry, I gotta do it. I gotta make it as predictable as possible. I'm not gonna let the Rangers be number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference fool me one bit. I want the Rangers to become Stanley Cup champions. I want the Rangers to pull it off. But I'm not trying to be. But I want to be fooled. It's hockey. It's not the NBA.
Bro, bro, it's a 7-game series, just like 7-game series, just like NBA. The Islanders have a good squad, but trust me, I don't know how much you in-depthly watch hockey. They don't have what it takes to make they're struggling with things now, and they don't have what I see eye test wise.
A few years ago, they almost made the Stanley Cup Finals. They were like a few games shy. Let's not forget.
That was 3 years ago.
The only reason why they had that one bad season because they were transitioning to a new arena in the UBS arena, and they had a lot of road games to start off. This year they barely made it, and they lose to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Is this their 3rd year in the stadium or 2nd?
I believe it's like the 3rd year in the stadium. I believe it's like their 3rd season in the stadium. And currently the Islanders, they're fighting with the Carolina Hurricanes for the 4th seed. They can still get into the top 4. The Islanders can do it. But I'm gonna take a gamble. But as much as I would like to see the Rangers pull it off, I'm gonna take a gamble and pick the Islanders and the Vegas Golden Knights. Hockey's just unpredictable.
I like it.
The way it is. What's your prediction?
I like it. Well, you know me. Listen, unless it's Boston, to me, eye test wise, the only teams in the Metropolitan that can beat the Rangers, and it was one that did it the other night, is Carolina or Boston. Those are the 2 eye tests. I watched every single team play, and I watch hockey. So from what I watch and see, that's no disrespect to the Islanders. The Islanders have a good team. I think we're on a whole different stratosphere this year compared to the Islanders. That's just my personal opinion. But that's no disrespect to them. So I don't want the matchups to happen between the Rangers and Islanders. And you say, oh, the Islanders and Rangers are always going to play competitive matchups. Because to me personally, the Islanders, it's a big matchup between both teams. But the Islanders look more forward towards beating the Rangers compared to the Rangers beating the Islanders. That's just my personal opinion, what I always see. So that's always going to be a matchup regardless, even whether one team is good, bad, or whatever the case may be. But from my eye test, the Boston Bruins, who scored the most points in hockey last year, they did not get to the Cup, but they have a very solid team coming back again. And Carolina.
For the Panthers last year.
Right. Those are the only 2 teams eye test wise. Florida's a good one to mention as well too, that I see that can realistically beat the Rangers in the Metropolitan. So with that being said, and being a little biased, I'm going to say that this is finally the year that the Rangers get to the Stanley Cup. They have a lot of talent, a lot of good offensive players, even with Patrick Kane.
Who you want them to face though? I mean,
That's so tough for me because I have to pay attention more to what's going on the other side. But I do know, just like you said, which does make sense, that Vegas has a really talented team. Colorado has a really talented team. We also can't forget about the gentleman that went to the Cup last year. So, but I'll say Rangers and Vegas
That's
Stanley Cup.
that's fair. I could live with that. The Rangers are capable of getting it done. Now, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for sports predictions 2023. Now we transition a little bit because I remember you telling me you was at the Ball for Peace holiday event last week, and then you got to do some announcing. You got to work with Haran. Shout out to you and Haran for the work you guys are doing for Ball for Peace, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with Ball for Peace this year in 2024. But before we get to that, we want to talk, like, you were down there, you were at the games. What game intrigued you the most when you were down there at Springfield High School for Ball for Peace?
Two teams. Well, the last game and the last day, Cardozo. Of course, with Mr. Ron McClario, the most winningest coach in New York City. My young pup Jordan, I've actually been watching and commentating for I remember when he was going into his freshman year of Cardozo, he would play with this AAU squad, this outside little squad called the Brooklyn Royal Crusaders. And right, is it Brooklyn Royal Crusaders? PRC, yep. And I've seen him play a few years back at a Crunch Time High School event, and I got the pleasure to announce him to. Very good kid. If you knew his background story, you would even understand how he's strong to do what he does. So God bless him. Very good in class. Going to Cardozo, good kid, well mannered, very good kid, and it was great to see him. If you look on Clash TV, he's one of the guys that had that dunk in the middle there, but they flashed him, so he did very well. Eagle Academy, the JV team for the first day, Harlem impressed me. My boy Scooter is a coach down there with them. Scooter with the City of Gods. His son is Magic Mal, of course, at Cardinal Hayes. They really impressed me. I like what they did. Scooter coached, and they did very solid. But the whole tournament in general. So those are the two teams that stood out to me per se. But like you said, shout out to Haran Hargrave, aka H2O, as most people know him as. It's an honor and it's a pleasure. Thank God through the years, me doing stuff with Slim, with announcing and getting in tune with Slim, through Crunch Time, and me and Slim now, doing what we do as a duo at Crunch Time. And we got to go to Canada together. Shout out to White for giving us that opportunity, which we're going back this year, August 22nd to August 27th. To do that one as well too. So we did Canada together. We did everything for Chris tournament together. So me and Slim have done a lot of things together, and we got a good synergy with what we do. So but Slim was the one that gave me the shout outs, the calls to work with Ballin' for Peace guys. My first opportunity, of course, was in the summer tournament for Queens Week, to be there with Voice Box, the Rick James of Harlem. I mean, Rick James Rick James of Harlem, Voice Box, and to be with those two guys at Queens Week and have an honor just to, Rick James is a legend. Voice Box is a legend at what he does on announce, and Slim is one of the top, in my opinion, definitely I know, in top in the city. That's why I always say Slim the announcer, city and state renowned, because to have the opportunity to announce behind those guys and to be in the same realms to do that was pretty big for Queens Week for me. And to have the opportunity again for Ballin' for Peace. And I never, Voice Box and Slim was supposed to be the main announcer, so I never planned to intend to come and announce. Like I always was like, guys, I think I had vacation the Wednesday, so I was off. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna come down and just watch the games and cool out and chill. And I did that. I had to go back to the folks. The next day I had to go back to work. That was my first day back from vacation. And I came afterwards for like the last 2.5 games. And like one of the games before Voice Box, and I was like, yo, Rod, grab the mic. We're gonna do the bit of that big. So me and Slim did a game together, and it was really cool, really epic, which we got a lot of highlights up on Clash TV. And it was great. It was a great honor. It was a great event. H2O and Baldwin for Peace, they gave out a scholarship to one of the kids from Susan B. Wagner. So that was great for the kids. They all got either book bags or something. If they won MVP, they got trophies. There was Powerade was there, Body Armor, not Powerade, Body Armor was there, OWN was there. They had their refreshments and their drinks. We had Chef Reem come down to serve food. There were different vendors there. It was a really great event. Channel 11 News covered it, which is
12 actually.
Excuse me, was it 12?
Yeah, News 12 actually.
News 12 and Channel 11 was there too.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Channel. There was a promotion segment that Channel 11, Channel 12 was definitely there. They were definitely there, 100%. Channel 11 was also there too because there was 2 different segments that they did on the event, which was really special. Clash TV, big shout out to Clash TV. They did phenomenal work. The table did phenomenal work. Everything was good, positive, no violence. Great event. Sassy Studios, they came and danced and did their performances. Kaya Baby from Queens, one young and upcoming artist. John Starks came through. He was in the building. I mean, just people, one after the other, after the other, after the other. It was a lot of great people in the building, a lot of great basketball minds, solid basketball, great opportunity for the JV and the varsity life. And just another astronomical event by H2O and the Ballin' for Peace gang. And it's just really, really an honor just to be anytime they ask me to come and do something, I'm always gonna be there and to help them out. And those guys do a great thing, and you can see the impact it's made. And God bless them. And you've done plenty of things with Ballin' for Peace, so you know what those guys.
I managed to get some good interviews. I mean, of course, I got some interviews with Nia Rose, the Emory lady that went viral for interviewing Holly Berry. She was there. Vina Love was there. That was when I also interviewed Cappy Poddexter. Of course, I didn't publish it because of audio reasons, but Cappy Poddexter, former New York Liberty, was there. Let's see, what am I forgetting? Oh yeah, Hip Hop Gamer, he was there.
Yes.
And funny enough, I mean, I got before. I mean, I done some stuff, and it was literally on my 28th birthday. That was the first. That ended up being the first event I ever covered as Nothing But That Sports Talk. I mean, back when I had it. I mean, I used to name it Nothing But That People Talk before I transitioned it. Before I changed that name up, just because I wanted to get used to talk about the sports. And it's also where I met Shantae for the very first time there too. She came to me talk about she's seen me at a lot of events, and I'm like, "What type of events you see me at, Dace?" I'm I'm almost everywhere. I didn't know it's you. But we developed me and Shantae developed a great friendship, like a brother-sister kind of friendship in a way.
She's a great human being. And we had her on the show, so thank God and God bless her. And man, Ballin' for Peace, man. They really did a
phenomenal Pro City. Yeah.
Yeah. We've we knew each other and bothered each other for all different realms, even before that. And just like you said, but no, man, I next year I definitely want you to show up at least one of the days. They did a phenomenal job with the 2-day event for Ballin' for Peace. Slam was there. I mean, there were so many different entities that came to the table. 98.7 FM was there, ESP, the radio. So it was a really good 2-day extravaganza, which people are still talking about, and it still keeps getting shown on the news over and over again for what Ballin' for Peace and the H2O and the staff and everybody was able to do. And it's an honor to come there and announce with them and help out and bring the culture and keep everything going. So shout out to Queens, shout out to Springfield High School, shout out to Ballin' for Peace, H2O, Slim the announcer, Voice Box, and the whole staff. Anybody I'm forgetting out, don't think I forgot you. We all did phenomenal there, and it was just a pleasure and an honor to be around everybody for that 2-day extravaganza.
Yeah, I could tell. I mean, it was well put together. I saw some highlights. Yeah, pretty good players playing down there. Although
very solid,
pretty good, without question. Now I'm going to make it my mission to continue supporting the Ball for Peace movement. That's not even a debate. And Iran did a pretty good job of putting that together.
Yes, sir.
All right, now we get some NFL predictions on as well. We kind of already talked about the NFL, so let's just get to our Week 18 predictions.
We got to predict them? All right. Yeah, let's go.
As we already in the final week of the season. And unfortunately, we're going to have to predict the teams that we know are not going to make it as well.
That's good. We can make this one quick because we know it's going to go on.
Yeah. First off, the doubleheader, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. So, who do you think wins this game?
Pittsburgh, because Baltimore doesn't have anything to play for. They better not play their guys. They better just rest their guys, unless they probably want to play their guys to keep rhythm because they have off anyway. You know what? If Baltimore plays all their guys to keep rhythm because they're gonna have a long layoff, then Baltimore. But if Baltimore doesn't play their guys, Pittsburgh.
Indianapolis Colts at home against the Houston Texans.
Colts. Even though what you call it is back, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm CJ Stroud, but I like the Colts.
Okay, now we get to the final Sunday of the regular season. Cincinnati Bengals at home against the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are searching for a playoffs, just so you know.
Cleveland.
Detroit Lions at home against the Minnesota Vikings.
Vikings can't go up in seeding even if they win. I mean, I'm sorry, Lions, right? Lions are pretty much cemented at the playoff spot they have, even though they have one home game, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can't get to the 2 or 3 because they lost to the Cowboys, so they definitely can't get to the 2. Yeah. Minnesota Vikings. Lions should rest their guys. This shouldn't be, unless the Lions want to keep a rhythm to play some of their guys all the way through. But I still will pick the Vikings on this only because their job should be trying to get to week 19 healthy.
Mm-hmm. That's a very interesting point. Now, okay, you made your predictions already. You said Pittsburgh's going to win on the road against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
And then you have the Houston Texans. I think you picked the Colts to win that one, or you picked the Texans?
Yes, Colts.
Okay. You got the Browns. You picked the Browns to win on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. And then you got the Minnesota Vikings taking out the Detroit Lions. It's a meaningless game for the Lions because they're going to get home field. Tennessee Titans at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. New York Jets on the road against the New England Patriots. Both teams are not making it. The Patriots own the Jets, blah, blah, blah. Who you got winning that one?
I got to pick a winner for this game?
Never mind.
Jeez, this one is so tough. The Jets are supposed to win, but they can't.
They can't
just like our Giants. They can't beat them. Yeah,
But the Giants beat the Patriots earlier this year, though. The Jets can't.
Yeah, and we stink. But that's so. Yeah.
I know it's hard.
Hey, I don't want to do that, Jets Nation. I'm not that much of a hater. I actually like you guys, but until you break that curse on what's going on, I guess the Patriots. And trust me, I do not want to pick that.
That's an interesting point. It is a meaningless game between both teams. Okay. New Orleans Saints at home against the Atlanta Falcons.
Saints.
Okay. Denver Broncos on the road against Las Vegas Raiders.
This is another one that's ugly to pick. Oh my goodness. Wow. Vegas.
Okay.
No Russell Wilson. They're not playing in Vegas.
Okay. Vegas, that's fine. We got this matchup. The Carolina Panthers at home against the Tampa Bay Bay Buccaneers. I'm picking
Bucket.
I'm picking Tampa Bay by default. Just to make you.
Yeah.
Let's just pick Tampa Bay by default. Just so you don't have to.
Yeah, Tampa Bay should win. They're trying to win the division. I mean, they got like 8 wins. They're better than Carolina. I know that much. They're better than Carolina.
Green Bay Packers and home against the Chicago Bears. I'm picking Green Bay by default.
I'm going to go with the Bears.
Playing hardball, I see. All right. All right. Now we get to the New York Giants and home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's just get that and go with the Eagles since the Giants have nothing to play for. But then again, if the Eagles lose and the Cowboys win on the road against the Washington Commanders, the Cowboys will get the division number 2 seed. So let's keep that in mind. Do you see the Eagles winning on the road and getting the division from the Dallas Cowboys?
It's so crazy because the Giants actually have an opportunity to beat this team. And then 2 weeks ago, the Giants actually they were right there for beating this team. The Eagles are not playing great football. The Giants beat the Cardinals. It was early in the year with Daniel Jones, of course. We were fortunate enough to score 30-something points and change. The Cardinals played better at the second half, and they can score. The Giants can do it, but I still see that number staying that way. I think Philadelphia will win the football game, but my heart definitely would love to see the Giants win the football game. But it means more to the Eagles. I don't think we have the roster talent to pull this one off on week 17, but I know they'll be playing with a lot of incentive. But I still say, I'm sorry, 18, oh Lord, the extra week now in football. I'm just reacclimated a few years ago. Eagles.
Okay. Seattle Seahawks on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. While we're on that subject, do you think the Arizona Cardinals can put a damper in the Seattle Seahawks playoff hopes?
You know what? I'm going Cardinals on this. I do, and I like the Seahawks in their defense, but I'm gonna just for the heck of it, I'm going Cardinals upset.
Okay, Kansas City Chiefs on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh, Kansas City.
Okay, Los Angeles Rams on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, San Francisco, they will be one of the top 2 teams in the NFC. Los Angeles Rams, they're trying to get in. So
no, the Rams are in. They officially won. When they beat the Giants, they were officially in.
Oh yeah.
This game means nothing to none of them. So this is a scary one to predict.
They are in.
They're in. They're guaranteed in. So this game means nothing to none of them. I know it won't happen, but I'm going to pick a tie because this game means they don't. If I'm both teams, I'm resting my guys. I'm sorry.
But let me just hit you with something. If the Los Angeles Rams do not win on the road against the 49ers and the Green Bay Packers or the Seattle Seahawks or the New Orleans Saints manage to get a victory the final week of the season, then the Rams could fall to number 7. I mean, they can't be any worse than number 7. If the Packers win, they're in the playoffs. But if the Packers win and the Rams lose, well, they can't be no worse than 7 because they're already in the postseason. It's just a matter of what it's just a matter of the seeding, depending on what happens with the Packers, Seahawks, and Saints.
100%.
And
we'll see.
And the Minnesota Vikings are in it too, but just slightly. But a lot of things have to happen for the Minnesota Vikings in order to get in. I believe the Vikings need the Saints, Packers, and Seahawks to lose, and they have to win on the road against the Detroit Lions in order for the Vikings to get in. So keep that in mind.
Judgment Day.
All right, now we get to the Dallas Cowboys on the road against the Washington Commanders. Do you see the Dallas Cowboys winning this game or no?
The Cowboys should win. But let's see. They're hyped. They think they're going to get the number 2 seed. I got my boy. He's driving down here to watch the Washington and Cowboys game. I said, oh, my Lord. So the Cowboys should win, but I'm picking the Commanders. I want the Commanders. I don't want the Cowboys to get the number 2 seed. So I would rather them get a lower seed. They get the number 2 seed. You can't tell Cowboy Nation they're not going to the NFC Championship game. So I'm picking Washington on that one just because my heart wants that, not necessarily my mind.
All right. Now we get to the final matchup of the NFL regular season. The Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. This will determine who wins the AFC East. And at the very least, well, depending on how things out with the earlier games, Buffalo should be in the playoffs no matter what. But if they went on the road against the Miami Dolphins, they'll get a higher seed. They'll get home field in the first 2 rounds. So, yeah, you got Buffalo winning in Miami.
Not picking Miami over New York. You already know how that go. Buffalo winning that thing. They hot right now. They're playing good football. Allen's found the spark again. They're defending. They're gonna go to Miami and they're gonna win. And they're gonna win that division.
Okay.
Book it.
Okay, that's pretty much it. And I'll wrap up this episode. Nothing but that sports talk. For Ryan Walker, Rafique Louison. We'll see you next time. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.